Dr. Amish Tripathi ji, distinguished writer, scholar, diplomat and producer, all the friends who are here with us today. I am glad to welcome all of you for this edition of Meet the Author program with Dr. Amish Tripathi ji. Friends, every society and community develop its own myths and religions. If there is one thing that all the anthropological studies over decades have shown us, it is this. The peek into the mythology is a fascinating one and offers plenty of material for us to learn. Often people tend to assume Purana means something old and tend to overlook Purana is something that gets told Navam in every generation. This distinguished scholar we have with us today is a person who has made in his business to tell our mythology to suit our sensibilities and in the language and style in which can easily relate to the and understand. It is not very often do we come across such a personality like Dr. Amish Tripathi ji, who successfully narrates the mythology to the audience who have been led astray from their own cultural roots through imagination and improper grasp of the nature of cultural institutions. William James, Mircea Eliot, P.V. Kane, S.S. Ghurye and Jung have given us enormous amount of materials to study the development of myths and religious experience. James and Eliot have shown us that religious experience is universal and the belief system of the individual going through the religious experience does not matter. It is perfectly normal for every society to have myths and religions. It is remarkable that Amish Tripathi has been able to keep narrating timeless sagas while entertaining us but also educating us all. It is our great pleasure and privilege to have Dr. Amish Tripathi ji with us today. In this program, the celebrated author will share with us, with all of us, his life experiences, childhood, works and influenced him most, and of course about the process of creative writing too. If there is time left, we will have a brief interaction with the audience. Though Dr. Amish Tripathi ji doesn't need any introduction, but Dr. Tripathi ji is a distinguished writer, scholar, diplomat, producer and TV documentary host and alumnus of IIM Calcutta. He began as a banker, but in order to focus on creative writing, he gave up his career in financial services. He is passionate about history, mythology, finding beauty and meaning in all world religions. Amish ji published his first book in 2010 and has written 10 books, both fiction and non-fiction till date, including the recently released The War of Lanka. His Shiva trilogy is the fastest selling and Ramachandra series, 3 of 5 books released, is the second fastest selling book series in Indian publishing industry. His books sold more than 6 million copies and have been translated into over 20 languages. Forbes India has regularly ranked him among the top 100 most influential celebrities in India. Amish was also selected as an Eisenhower Fellow, a prestigious American program for outstanding leaders from around the world. In 2014, he won the 21st Century Icon Award in the UK in 2021 and the Golden Book Award for his novel Suhel Dev in 2022. He is also a host for TV documentaries, including for Discovery TV's highly acclaimed Legends of the Ramayana with Amish. He has taken over as the Minister of Culture and the Indian High Commission in the UK and also the Director of the Nehru Centre in London in October 2019. With these few words, I welcome Dr. Amish Tripathi ji and everyone of you. So before I invite Dr. Amish ji, we will have a small clipping on him.
a super hit book? Always, I think what happens with an Amish book is that you read it and suddenly you get very desperate. Where is the next one?
Not only is it descriptive, it's imaginative, but it's just sheer brilliance.
I wish that there are many more amongst you that will be inspired by today and this evening, and indeed by Amish Tripathi.
He takes on mythology by the core and really, represents us and presents us in a way that we haven't seen before.
The celebrity author, but one of the most influential voices of our times.
It's that kind of a book that could interest my daughter and me at the same time.
Best-selling Indian author of all time.
I've been going through your new book, Ravan. This is possibly, to my mind, the most fascinating of the books that you've written so far.
What we are seeing today, a publishing phenomenon, nothing less.
No, Amish is India's first literary pop star.
The writer of the fastest and the second fastest selling book series in Indian publishing history. Readers of all genders, communities and backgrounds, from young to old, have loved his books. Critics have said that his books are backed by tremendous research, deep thought, a rooted pride in India and a liberal progressive outlook. It's no wonder that his fan following has reached heights unheard of before for an Indian author. 10 best-selling books, 6 million copies sold, and the journey continues. Adding to his already full cap of feathers, Amish became a diplomat in 2019, taking Indian culture to foreign lands as the director of the Nehru Centre in London. He is also Minister Culture at the Indian High Commission to the UK. And now, in a tryst with the camera, Amish has recently made his debut as a TV documentary host in the highly acclaimed Legends of the Ramayana on Discovery TV. There are many more documentaries to follow. Amish, an author, diplomat, TV documentary host, movie producer, and most importantly, a proud Indian.
Now over to Amish.
Namaste everyone. Hello. Can everyone hear me? Mic's working. Handheld mic हो सकता है?
हेलो, दिस वे। पीछे तक आवाज आ रही। मैं भी स्कूल कॉलेज में मैं भी थोड़ा बैक बेंचर था, तो आई ऑलवेज हैव अ बिट ऑफ सिंपैथी फॉर द बैक बेंचर्स. I thought rather than speaking about myself and my childhood, how about if I speak of our culture, how I think our journey has been till now and where I see it going over the next few decades, what the opportunities are, what the challenges are. So perhaps I'll start with this शेर, a very beautiful शेर. यूनानो मिस्रो रोमा सब मिट गए जहाँ से, सब ने सुना होगा ये. यूनानो मिस्रो रोमा सब मिट गए जहाँ से, अब तक मगर है बाकी नामो निशा हमारा. कुछ बात है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी, सदियों रहा है दुश्मन दौरे ज़मां हमारा. ब्यूटीफुल है. obviously not written by me, everyone knows who wrote it. But if I translate that, essentially, Greece, Egypt, Mesopotamia, they're all dead, they're all museum pieces now, those cultures. But India is still around. Enemies have attacked us for centuries. Those same enemies actually attacked Egypt, Mesopotamia, Greece as well. They were all pagan cultures, they're all dead. We're still here, we're still standing. So what is it that is special in us? That keeps our culture alive, that we are the only pre-Bronze Age culture that is still alive. China is not a pre-Bronze Age culture. China is around maybe 3,500 4,000 years old. Pre-Bronze Age matlab minimum 5,000 years old. We are the only pre-Bronze Age culture that is still alive today. So if I ask views from you, what do you think? What are the reasons? How come we are still alive? Why are we still alive? Any guesses? What is special in us? What Iqbal asked, कुछ तो खास बात है हम में. What is special in us? Why are we still alive? The only pre-Bronze Age. What do you think? Resilience.
Our spirituality.
We are a very resilient culture.
Our spirituality.
Our spirituality.
Roots are very deep.
Our spirituality goes in very deep. Fair point. But frankly, so did the Egyptians. And they were also deeply attached. Till they suddenly forgot their spirituality. So were the Greeks.
But we have been reinventing ourselves.
Very interesting point.
Chronologically, we have been evolving.
This is one of the theories I have. There are various theories.
I haven't read any of your books. Now I'm going to read.
Oh, thank you. There are various theories for why I think we are still alive. One of them is I think reason. हाँ बोलिए. जरा बुलंद आवाज में बोलिए. आवाज नहीं आ रही.
ये बोला गया है कि हमारा धर्म है.
हाँ.
और धर्म एनवायरनमेंट को सबको लेकर है.
हाँ.
ताकि वो किसी मतलब मजहब रिलीजियस होता है वो मजहब है.
हाँ.
और धर्म में एक प्रकृति को या सबको.
That is even bigger than religion. Very good point. Very good point. So various theories why we are still alive. We could discuss various things. One of them is actually our ancestors never stopped fighting. That is actually one of the reasons why we are still alive. When the Persian culture was attacked by the Arabs, one of the greatest civilizations of its time, the Sassanids, they survived a mere 50 years. That's it. In 5 decades they surrendered. And they themselves destroyed their own temples, everything. 1000 साल हो गए, हम अभी भी जिंदा हैं. Our ancestors kept fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. So perhaps that's one of the things to remember, that of course we do as a culture believe in non-violence. We are the oldest pacifist traditions in the world. Jainism, which is the oldest pacifist traditions in the world, is an Indian tradition. So we do believe in ahimsa paramo dharma. But we also believe dharma, ahimsa, tathaicha, that if we have to fight, we will fight. Right? And our ancestors showed that. Perhaps that's one of the reasons we are still alive. Another reason is that we are a very decentralized culture. In Persia, they destroyed Persepolis and the entire culture collapsed. But India, is there any one city that you can destroy and everything will collapse? No, no. Any IT people out there? Information technology people? Computer people? No. Anyone who knows a bit about IT knows the value of a backup. No?
Of course.
Correct.
We all use.
हाँ, बैकअप हरदम होना चाहिए. हमारी इंडिया में फॉर्चुनेटली देयर वर सो मेनी बैकअप्स. करेक्ट. आप एक किंगडम को डिस्ट्रॉय करो, दूसरा किंगडम खड़ा हो जाएगा. एक टेंपल को दूसरा करो, दूसरा खड़ा हो जाएगा. एक यूनिवर्सिटी को डिस्ट्रॉय करो, we'll take our manuscript somewhere else, we'll keep it alive. There were backups everywhere. There wasn't one central place. That's perhaps one reason. But the thing that intrigues me the most, sir, is the point that you said, that we keep adapting our stories. What it does, it keeps rejuvenating the stories again and again. Think about it. How many of you believe that Lakshman Rekha is there in the Ramayana? How many will say it is not there in the Ramayana? Anyone will say Lakshman Rekha is not there in the Ramayana? 2 people. Everyone else says Lakshman Rekha is there in the Ramayana. Acha, can we have applause for these 2 people? Applause, please. Because these 2 people are right.
I have heard this only from you.
In the original Valmiki Ramayana, Lakshman Rekha का वर्णन नहीं है. Most of us Indians, हमारे दिमाग में जो
जो सीन जो है, जो आत्मा में जो बैठी हुई है कि लक्ष्मण जी वो बाण निकालते हैं और ऐसे, या वो 1980s के टेलीविजन सीरियल में था, वैसा डिस्क्रिप्शन एटलीस्ट मैंने, हाँ रामलीला में मैंने देखी है, लेकिन टेक्स्ट में एटलीस्ट मैंने तो अभी तक नहीं पढ़ी। रामचरितमानस में देयर इज अ डिस्कशन ऑफ द लक्ष्मण रेखा, बट नॉट इन दिस मैनर, द वे मोस्ट इंडियंस विजुअलाइज इट. What does it say? And this is just one small example. What does it say? That we kept adapting our stories. Goswami Tulsidas ji adapted the story to the 16th century. There is any Jains out here? Jain? Huh? Do you know there is a Jain version of the Ramayana? Yeah? In the Jain version of the Ramayana, Lord Ram is completely non-violent. Jain version of the Ramayana. He is completely non-violent, and Ravan is killed by Lord Lakshman.
Yeah, and both Hanuman and Lord Ram have attained nirvana from Mangi Tungi Maharashtra.
Correct. You have read the Jain version of the Ramayana. Applause for you. There is a version of the Ramayana called the Adbhut Ramayana, which is also credited to Valmiki ji. There are 3 versions of the Ramayana credited to Valmiki ji. Adbhut Ramayana, of course, you know, Anand Ramayana, and then the original Valmiki Ramayana. So in the Adbhut Ramayana, guess who kills Ravan? The elder main Ravan. And if you've heard me before, then don't answer. But it's not Lord Ram. I can give you that clue. Guess who kills Ravan? Yes. Applause for him again. Did you actually read it or you heard me? Yes, goddess Sita kills the elder, more powerful Ramayana. In this version of the Ramayana called the Adbhut Ramayana, which was also composed by Maharishi Valmiki ji. What basically the point I'm trying to make is there are so many versions. Why did our ancestors do this again and again? And they didn't just do this with the Ramayana. They did it with many of our Purana tales. They did it with the Mahabharata. They did it with many rituals. In North India, many Indians believe Lord Kartik is a bachelor. Correct? So much so that women won't even enter a Lord Kartik temple. South Indians, any South Indians here? Yeah? Is Lord Kartik a bachelor or is he married? Huh? Okay. No, South India. Even in Tamil Nadu, it's the same thing. He's married. Yeah, in South India. Yeah, in fact, in South India, Lord Kartik has 2 wives, Valli ji and Sena ji. Now, what does this show? That our ability to keep the soul of the old story, but add in something of the new, so that it becomes relevant once again. Right? This is one of our key strengths, which has kept our culture alive. If you think about it, when a really strong, typhoon or a storm comes, if a tree is too rigid, क्या होगा उस पेड़ का? गिर जाएगी ना? Yeah? Say, however, on the other hand, it's not a tree, but it's pusha grass, flat grass. अगर आंधी आएगी, फिर भी उसका क्या होगा? उसका कोई अस्तित्व ही नहीं है. That is also not good. So if you are so flexible that you have no strength of your own, that is not good. But if you are so rigid that you can't adapt to the times, that is also not good. And I think that was the unique genius of our ancestors, that we had that right mix. Strength enough that we will keep it alive, we will keep fighting when we have to fight, but flexible enough that with changing times we will adapt. Right? And you see this repeatedly in our stories, you see this in our rituals, you see this in the way we conduct things with each other. There were times when we became much less questioning. Now do you find many of the parents, I'm sure you'll agree, your children question you a lot, right? Correct? Any parents here? If you tell your children कि ये कहानी है, तुम्हें मानना पड़ेगा, आपके बच्चे मानते हैं क्या? आज के बच्चे नहीं मानते ना? क्वेश्चन करते रहते हैं, ऐसा क्यों है? साइंटिफिक रीजन बताओ. Correct? But if you give them a scientific reason, will they accept it? Correct, no? So, if we actually present our stories in a scientific way today, like if we tell them कि वाल्मीकि जी ने बताया था कि चित्रकूट में अंडरग्राउंड रिवर है, आपके बच्चे मानेंगे क्या? और आप उन्हें बोले मैंने बोल दिया तो मानना पड़ेगा, आपके बच्चे मानेंगे? नहीं मानेंगे. लेकिन say you go with a documentary TV and you go to Chitrakoot and you find that underground river and along with a geologist who explains कि भाई ये नदी आ कहाँ से रही है, जा कहाँ रही है, and in that cavern you shoot and you broadcast that documentary as we did in that Discovery TV that Rauji spoke of. Will your children accept? Will accept it because you're giving a logical, scientific explanation for what you're telling them. So point I'm trying to make is the unique strength of our culture is we keep the soul of the old but we adapt the delivery again and again. आत्मा वही पुरानी है, कपड़े कभी कभार मॉडर्नाइज कर दिए जाते हैं and we have kept the culture alive. And through storms, through severe storms which have wiped out all ancient civilizations, हम आज भी जिंदा हैं. I think this is something that's really special about us, and this is what I try to celebrate in my books, which is why I try and present the beauty of our ancient culture, but in a modern way, so that the youth will also understand. Their theory I wanted to leave with you. After this, actually, I want to have more time for question answers. So many questions you have, मैं बैठ जाऊँगा and I'll be very happy to answer. It will be up to you. You can take the discussion wherever you choose to with your questions. Is there a mic? Is there a mic? हेलो, हाँ ये तो काम कर रहा है. नहीं, माइक उनको दे दीजिए जो भी क्वेश्चन पूछेगा. किसी को अगर क्वेश्चन है तो पूछिए. जी.
Amish, my name is Chandru Mohan.
नमस्ते सर.
I taught English in Delhi University as professor. Currently, I'm looking after comparative literature program, which is also a boon, which is also, I think, the basic outgrowth of our country. Ours is a multicultural, multilingual country. Sahitya Akademi is one of the specimens in before you. Now, my feeling is that while we admire your contribution, and you have really touched the root of everything in your mythology and other highly praised and highly applauded books. I was just feeling, since I come from English and we come to know so many things here and there, if you made your next venture based on interfaith, which is also a part of our civilization. So many interfaith feelings are there, and that is a standpoint of our culture. You would so that will be laudable, and we will also contribute to that in our own extent.
Thank you so much, Chandramohan ji. Very good idea, and I will certainly think of that. Wasn't me, sorry. I'll certainly think of this, and I will certainly explore this as well. But you know, even in my book Legend of Suheldev, I actually explored interactions between different religions. I did. But yes, let me explore this even further. I will certainly keep this idea in mind. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Your Excellency, I am Shivam from Manipur. Sir, can you kindly briefly explain what's the difference between Nagarjuna, Nagaland, Nagasaki, and Nagas of Philippines? Secondly, why national anthem of India has been going on since 1911, where it was partition in 47, and Pakistan has their own, but India is continuing as it was in 1911. And why India has three names? India, Bharat, Hindustan. Why they don't pick only one? And whenever they address in such a way, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, Jai Hind, the true India. Why so?
Interesting question. Well, the first answer, Nagarjuna and Nagaland are India. The rest are foreign. I have respect for the suffering of Nagasaki and various others, but they are not mine. Nagaland and Nagarjuna are mine. They are Indian. They are ours. They are one of us. In terms of the three names, that's an interesting question. I have a theory on the names and the cultural. There's this theory in the West that cultural groups are defined by the languages, the cultural memes, the ways of interaction that define those groups. And I think in some ways, these names represent different cultural meme groups in our land. So India, for example, perhaps is the more anglicized group. Hindustan is perhaps the Indo-Gangetic plains, perhaps. I'm not saying this is the right theory, perhaps. And Bharat is, the traditional Bharatvarsh. But these would have been ancient things. I don't know if those names convey the same meaning today. Because today, India, that is Bharat, is part of our constitution. So, I think all three names represent what our land is. There was a time when India meant Pakistan and Bangladesh as well. Doesn't anymore. And no right-thinking Indian. I mean, I'm not one of those that Pakistan has to become one with us. I'm not that. I'm happy with our land the way it is. So words also, in a way, change meaning over time. There was, and it's not just names of countries. America as a country may have been around for, as a land may have been around for long, but America as a term emerged only in the 17th century. Before that it was called New England. So names change meaning over time. New England is not seen as part of England anymore. There was a time when New England was England, basically. Right? So the very meaning of India has actually changed over time. Like I said, Pakistan is not India. And for most of us Indians, none of us want, I think most right-thinking Indians, we don't want Pakistan to be a part of India. So meanings have changed, words. So these three names, let's just see it as describing the same land. It is a debate that was perhaps maybe valid 75 years ago. But today perhaps it is not that moved.
Naga means dictionary. Naga means snake. Serpent.
Naga is, he said, means snake.
Naga means serpent.
Not, sir, I'm a Shaivite actually. They are Shiv Bhakts. If you see a murti of Lord Shiva, you'll see there's a snake actually out there. We Shaivites actually, we worship Nagas. We actually worship snakes. So for us Shaivites, Nagas are very, very, very holy. So this thing of seeing snakes as negative is actually not an Indian thing. It emerged, with Abrahamic traditions, because a snake is the one who misled Eve. The Garden of Eden, which God had, where God created Adam and Eve, and there was a tree of knowledge, and God told Adam and Eve that you must not eat from this tree of knowledge, and there were apples out there. And a snake came, a serpent came, who enticed Eve and Adam, I think, if I remember correctly, to eat from that tree of knowledge, the apple. So therefore, in the Western paradigm, in the Abrahamic paradigm, snakes are seen as negative. Not in India actually. In India, like I said, Lord Shiva has a snake out there. At least we Shaivites and Shaktas, we worship. And actually even Lord Vishnu, he lies on the Sheshnag. So snakes in the Indian tradition are actually very holy. We worship them. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So my concerns are more contemporary. How can a new multicultural mythology help us in our development agenda to take our GDP forward to 10%? Because That is the concern. To me, I mean, with all the great knowledge right from the Vedic times, I see when I meet people at the grassroots, a large majority of the Indian population live a subhuman existence. And so the developmental agenda is what kind of a multicultural new mythology is required.
Spot on.
Thank you very much.
Spot on, sir. Good question.
I'm A.K. Merchant. I'm with the Baha'i Lotus Temple. I'm a social worker
Namaste, sir.
and also a disciple of Professor Chandramohan.
I have prayed at the Baha'i temple, sir, and wonderful. One of the monumental wonders of modern India. So have you heard of Angus Madison?
Yes.
Angus Madison is a British economic historian, sadly passed away recently. So he's done among the most extensive researches on GDPs of different lands across the last 2000 years, across the last 2 millennia. For all of the first millennium, India was by far the #1 GDP. In the world, around 35 to 36%.
Oh, that high? I thought 26%.
No, 35 to 36%. Today's America is around 22-23%. So relative to the world, India was richer than how America is relative to the world today. We were that rich. And there are various things I discovered, some quoted by Angus Madison, some read from other texts. For example, Emperor Vespasian of Rome in the 2nd century had banned trade with India. Why? Because Rome was going bankrupt importing things from India, because India was the manufacturing hub of the world. But India didn't want to import anything from Rome. So Rome had to keep paying us in gold. We were the greatest seafarers in ancient, we are not taught this in our history actually, but India was actually among the greatest Indians. Greatest seafarers in ancient times. And around the 11th century, a slow decline began. By around the 17th, 18th century, we were around 19-20% of the world GDP, which slipped to #2. China had gone ahead of us. Then post the British, there was a very rapid decline. We fell drastically to maybe 2-3%, 3% of the world's GDP. That was the case in 1947. Have you heard of Ruchir Sharma? He is the Morgan Stanley chief economist. A brilliant author. He's written books as well, non-fiction books. So his research shows that sadly India's decline continued even after 1947. Many don't know this. Our lowest point economically relative to the world was actually in the early 1990s. Okay. Our lowest point. We started turning around only post 1991. Okay. By 1991, we were maybe at 20th rank or something. Today, what rank are we in terms of GDP? 5th, right? We've just moved ahead of UK. The last time that happened was 150 years ago, when India's GDP was bigger than the UK. So post 1991, within just a short period of 30 years, we made up what we lost in 150 years. Economists predict that we will probably be #3 by 2027-28, and in another 25 years, our per capita income in purchasing power parity will be higher than every European's per capita income. Every European's per capita income, India will be richer. If we keep growing at this rate, because Europe is actually degrowing. The last time that happened was 900 years ago, when India's per capita income was higher than every European's per capita income. What we lost in 900 years will make up in the next 25 years. Okay. I think there's a reason why this is happening. We, post 1947, there are many things we did right post 1947. We chose democracy, we chose liberalism, we chose secularism. Those are good, multiculturalism, that all of us will be equal. Those are good choices. But we made very bad economic choices. Socialism or communism or Marxism, whatever you want to call it, whatever its strengths may be, economically destroys every country where it has been tried. For the last 100 years, unbroken, stellar record of socialism has destroyed every single economy. Right? We sadly chose socialism, so our decline continued. Post 1991, the state withdrew, gave more space to Indians. And in a cultural revival, coming to your point, this is a land which worships goddess Lakshmi. Socialism sees money as evil, but we see money as something to be worshipped, it's goddess Lakshmi, right? So will the cultural revival help us create more wealth? You can only remove poverty by creating wealth, right? So we have come to a state where, Indians suspect every Indian businessman. Have you noticed that? Just because a few businessmen are chores, we'll assume all businessmen are chores. That's as ridiculous as saying just because a few soldiers may have done something wrong, entire Indian army is wrong. No, that's obviously not right. All of the Indian army is actually quite a moral army, right? Most Indian businessmen also are hard-working, risk-taking entrepreneurs who are generating wealth for India. But if we follow a path of socialism or various others, we see all businessmen as thieves. How will we become rich then? We should actually start worshipping goddess Lakshmi and see businessmen creating wealth for us, like how we see warriors defending India. Businessmen are actually taking risks and creating wealth so that all of us, if I earn money through selling books, where does that money come from? For some businessmen has earned that money. I should be grateful to that businessman. I shouldn't seem like a chore. Now, are there some businessmen who are chores? Yes. Completely agree. Are there some warriors who do wrong things? Yes. Does that mean we should reject all warriors, throw out all warriors from India? That makes no sense. Who will defend us? We need our warriors. So we need our businessmen as well. We will understand this when we understand, like in our historical times, worshipping goddess Lakshmi is good. Just like worshipping goddess Shakti is good, so that we get strength to defend ourselves. Just like worshipping goddess Saraswati is good, so that we develop knowledge and become a center of knowledge generation, as we were for most of human history. There is nothing wrong in worshipping goddess Lakshmi. That is a good cultural habit to build.
Wonderful.
Wish you deserve our congratulations for this very impressive reply.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Namaste, sir. This is Sambhav from Khalsa College of Delhi University.
Hi, Sambhav.
Yes, I am a big fan of yours.
Thank you. I noticed you were watching many of my videos. You had my answers.
Yes, sir. That was a great moment when we meet you downstairs. We took a selfie. So, sir, I have many questions, but time has its limit. So, I am going to ask only two. First, from the idea of the ship. So, there is a connection between what West asserts as the Big Bang. Everything starts from one point. And what we see in the Shiv, the Shiv as an Anadi. So everything starts from him. But again we give him a form. That he has a form.
Akar leke aate, so that we can understand.
Yeah, we can understand. So
initially is Nirgun Nirakar.
Yeah, so sir, I want to ask you that what is the connection between this, that he has a form, but he is also formless, and how much it is true that everything starts from him, and how can we connect it? So this is the first question, and the second is from about the Kalki Avatar. That is, I want to know your ideas about the Kalki Avatar, and are you going to give us some?
You are asking a question on theoretical physics and our traditions. There's an author called Ashish Dalela, Bangalore-based guy, if I'm not mistaken. I've never met him, but I've read some of his books. He's a theoretical physicist, and he's also a Vedic scholar. So a very, very good combination. And he has researched how many of our Vedic theories explain some of the gaps in theoretical physics, right? You know, the only ancient civilization which had a time scale of creation that was similar to theoretical physics was actually the Indian civilization. Most other cultures, their time scale was God created, God said that let there be light 6,000 years ago, or the Mayans said 2,000 years ago, a God came down and did a sacrifice and the world began. Most other civilizations thought of time only in thousands of years. The only civilization which thought of time in billions of years was actually India, right? And which is also the time scale in which theoretical physics is thought of. Ashish Dalela explores that maybe one of the gaps in theoretical physics is that they don't believe in the theory of consciousness, which the Vedas do, and which can fill some of the gap. I'm sure you are aware of the problem of the universal constant that's there in theoretical physics, because dark energy and dark matter interact. If that mathematical universal constant wasn't there, the universe shouldn't have existed. Why are we in that universal constant? Why didn't it go to another constant? No, who decided that there's that universal constant? Correct? They are trying to say it could be that there are parallel universes and every universe has its own constant. But Ashish Dalela's concept, very interesting book. So check it out, it will give you some answers to this. In terms of Kalki Avatar, yes, he's supposed to come at the Kalyug on a white horse and save us. I have a story idea on him and I will come to that soon. And hopefully you'll buy that. Yes, if there's any other questions? Yes, sir.
Namaskar.
Namaste.
Hello, myself Mohan Himkhani. बहुत अच्छा लगा आपसे मिलके और आपकी बातें सुनकर। और मैं बैठे हुए ये सोच रहा था, आपने शुरुआत बहुत अच्छी की कि हम क्यों सरवाइव कर रहे हैं अब तक, और बहुत लोगों ने आंसर भी दिया कि, और मेरा आंसर था कि शायद अभी तक हम रामायण देख रहे हैं, रासलीला देख रहे हैं, शायद इसीलिए हम सरवाइव कर रहे हैं। तो मैं सिर्फ एक जिज्ञासा या यूँ कह लीजिए कि एक क्वेश्चन उठा कि ये जो सर्वाइवल है, आने वाली जनरेशन, आने वाली हमारी पीढ़ी जो डिजिटल एज में जा रही है
जी,
वो इस कल्चरल हमारी हेरिटेज को कहाँ तक सुरक्षित रख पाएगी, जबकि हम रोज़ फेसबुक पे उठ के मॉर्निंग वॉक जो करते हैं, गुड मॉर्निंग फेसबुक से करते हैं, व्हाट्सएप से करते हैं। Will the younger generation, coming generation, be able to preserve all our cultural heritage, languages, while disappearing day by day? शायद आने वाले समय में हमें ये सोचने की ज़रूरत होगी, जब शायद आपको शायद इस बात का हो कि जब हमें आज दीपावली की छुट्टी होती है तो बहुत कम बच्चों को, आने वाली जनरेशन को आने वाले टाइम में शायद ये पता हो राम कौन था। हालांकि आपकी बहुत हमारे एफर्ट्स हैं, ये चीज़ हम स्कूल, लैंग्वेजेस या एजुकेशन लेवल पे, तो बहुत कम बच्चों को शायद ये स्टोरी पता हो कि राम कौन था या कृष्ण कौन था। बस उनको छुट्टी से मतलब होता है कि छुट्टी है। या इवन गांधी जी, जब महात्मा गांधी का जन्मदिन होता है तो नोबडी सीम्स इंटरेस्टेड इन माइथोलॉजी और कल्चर और हिस्ट्री सीम्स। तो हमें कुछ एफर्ट्स इस दिशा में करने की ज़रूरत होगी, ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग, क्योंकि आप इस फील्ड में बहुत डीपली थॉटफुल तरीके से लिखते हैं। जस्ट माई
सर देखिए, ऐसा है कि कुछ हद तक मैं आपसे सहमत हूँ, लेकिन कुछ हद तक सहमत नहीं। और मैं भार युवा पीढ़ी पर नहीं डालूंगा। देखिए, पहले किस हद तक मैं आपसे सहमत नहीं हूँ। कालिदास का एक बहुत ही सुंदर एक नाटक था कालिदास जी का, मालविकाग्नि मित्रम। पता नहीं आपने पढ़ी है कि नहीं। मालविकाग्नि मित्रम में मुझे याद है कई साल पहले मैंने पढ़ा था, एक सीन दर्शाया गया था उसमें कि एक पिता है जो गंभीर हैं, दुखी हैं और कंप्लेन कर रहे हैं अपने मित्र से कि देखिए मेरे बेटे को, इसे हमारी परंपरा में तो कुछ रुचि है नहीं, और क्या होगा हमारी परंपरा का, कंप्लेन कर रहे हैं। कालिदास जी को ये लिखे हुए 1500 शायद 2000 साल हो गए। उस ज़माने में भी माँ बाप को थोड़ी चिंता रहती थी अपने बच्चों के बारे में कि हमारी संस्कृति बचेगी कि नहीं। आज भी माँ बाप को चिंता होती है, लेकिन हमारी संस्कृति तो आज भी जिंदा है। शायद हमें अपनी युवा पीढ़ी पे थोड़ा और विश्वास रखना चाहिए। रुचि तो है। मेरी जो पुस्तकें हैं शिव जी की कृपा से, जैसे राव जी ने कहा 60 लाख प्रतियां करीब बिक चुकी हैं, शायद उससे ऊपर। ज़्यादातर जो पाठक हैं मेरे वो युवा पीढ़ी के हैं, ज़्यादातर मेजॉरिटी। आप देखेंगे, आप लिटरेस में जाएंगे, कहीं भी जाएंगे, ज़्यादातर मेरे जो ऑडियंस होते हैं युवा पीढ़ी होती है। तो रुचि तो है उनमें, बहुत रुचि, लेकिन देखिए उन्हें अपने नज़रिए से देखना है। और मेरा मानना है कि ये हक है उनमें। देखिए अब मैं 47 वर्ष का हूँ, हमारी जो पीढ़ी है कई हद तक हम लोगों ने अमर चित्र कथा कॉमिक्स या 1980s के टेलीविज़न सीरियल देख के अपने हमारी जो पौराणिक कथाएं हैं, हमारी जो इतिहास है, जो आदि काव्य है, उन्हें सीखा। कुछ खुशकिस्मत लोग थे कि परिवार में माहौल ही ऐसा था, जैसे मैंने पहले बताया था, मेरे बाबा जी पंडित थे विश्वनाथ जी में, तो घर में माहौल ही था। तो हमारे घर में तो हम लोग बहुत ये सब सीखते थे। नानी माँ भी टीचर थी, अध्यापक थी, लेकिन जिन्हें ये खुशकिस्मती प्राप्त नहीं हुई वो अमर चित्र कथा या टेलीविज़न सीरियल देख के पढ़ते थे, सीखते थे। आज की युवा पीढ़ी शायद एक अलग रूप में दिखे, और आज की युवा पीढ़ी का एक नज़रिया अलग है, हमारा नज़रिया अलग था। आपको याद होगा हमारी जो पीढ़ी थी, एक वो एंडलेस रिबेलियन का एक माहौल था उस 70s और 80s में, इसलिए हमारी पीढ़ी के कई लोग वो नक्सल बन गए, वो सब, वो जो, क्योंकि बस ये रिबेलियन बागी बनना था। क्यों बनना था मालूम नहीं, बस बागी बनना था। वो एक एटमॉस्फेयर बन गया था, इसलिए अमिताभ बच्चन की पिक्चरें भी इतनी उस समय इतनी, वो एंग्री यंग मैन की पिक्चरें हिट होती थी। आज की युवा पीढ़ी को आप देखेंगे वो बहुत साइंटिफिक और रैशनल है, हर चीज़ का उनको एक रैशनल आंसर चाहिए। वो ये मानने को तैयार नहीं कि भाई माँ बाप ने कह दिया तो बस हम ऐसे ही मान लेंगे, नहीं, वैसे नहीं करते। तो देखिए अगर हमें उन्हें सिखाना है या हमारी संस्कृति की तरफ आकर्षित करना है तो रैशनल तरीके से पेश करना है। जैसे अगर हम कह रहे हैं व्रत करिए तो क्यों करिए, या सूर्योदय से सूर्यास्त के बीच में ही खाना खाइए तो क्यों खाइए। अभी विदेशी ने उसे इंटरमिटेंट फास्टिंग कह दिया, लेकिन वो तो वही है। तो इस हद तक मैं आपसे सहमत नहीं हूँ, क्योंकि युवा पीढ़ी में रुचि है, डिमांड है, शायद सप्लाई उतना नहीं। लेकिन जहाँ पे आपसे मैं सहमत हूँ वो हमारी शिक्षा प्रणाली में। हमारी शिक्षा प्रणाली आज भी एकदम कॉलोनियल है। आज भी हमें ये सिखाया जाता है कि भारत में 4 सीजन्स हैं, करेक्ट, समर, ऑटम, विंटर, स्प्रिंग। जब मैं दूसरी कक्षा में था मैंने अपने टीचर से बोला था मैम मानसून कहाँ गया। इन भारत में एक्चुअली 6 सीजन्स हैं, यूरोप में 4 सीजन्स हैं, लेकिन हमें क्या सिखाया जाता है 4 सीजन के शेड्स। हाँ, हमें पाइथागोरस थ्योरम सिखाया जाता है, बौधायन नहीं सिखाया जाता है। जब यूरोपियन गणितज्ञ खुद मान गए कि बौधायन जी ने पाइथागोरस के 200 साल पहले पाइथागोरस थ्योरम की रचना कर ली थी, उसे डिस्कवर कर लिया था। लेकिन हमें नहीं सिखाया जाता है, यूरोप में सिखाया जाता है। हमें ये नहीं सिखाया जाता है। उज्जैन में अभी जो महाकालेश्वर, जो महाकाल लोक, तो उसके मैंने टीवी इंटरव्यूज कुछ दिए कि प्राचीन जमाने में 0 मेरिडियन तो उज्जैन पे था। हमें नहीं मालूम है क्यों, क्योंकि हमें सिखाया नहीं जाता। तो अभी बेचारे युवा पीढ़ी पर क्यों दोष डालें, इसका गलती तो हमारी है कि हमने शिक्षा प्रणाली को डीकॉलोनाइज किया नहीं। वो कैसे सीखेंगे अगर कोई इन्हें बता नहीं रहा। आप लिटरेचर में देखेंगे शेक्सपियर सिखाया जाएगा, मैं इनके विरुद्ध नहीं हूँ, शेक्सपियर वो सब सिखाइए, टेनिसन सिखाइए, लेकिन पहले भाषा से शुरुआत करिए, कालिदास से शुरुआत करिए, मिर्जा गालिब से शुरुआत करिए, तिरुवल्लुवर से शुरुआत करिए, हमारी चीज़ें सिखाइए पहले। अगर आपको मेडिसिन सिखाना है तो सुश्रुत सिखाइए, चरक सिखाइए, हिपोक्रेटिस से शुरुआत क्यों कर रहे हैं। तो कई हद तक शायद गलती प्रणाली की है। प्रणाली किसके हाथ में, हम सब के हाथ में, युवा पीढ़ी के हाथ में तो थोड़ी है। वो तो बेचारे 20 साल बाद उनका ये हक बनेगा कि वो कुछ बदलाव लाएं। तो शायद इसमें हमें दबाव डालना चाहिए अपने राजनेताओं पर, अपने सिस्टम पर, कि हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम को डीकॉलोनाइज करा जाए, अपनी चीज़ें सिखाई जाए। आप आर्किटेक्चर आप देखिए, ये मैं हरदम ये उदाहरण देता हूँ, आप देखेंगे दिल्ली में भी इतने ये बिल्डिंगें बन रही हैं, ग्लास वॉल बिल्डिंग्स, आपने देखा है सबके, ये ऑफिस बिल्डिंग ग्लास वॉल बिल्डिंग की बनती है। मैंने ये उदाहरण कई बार दिया है। ये ग्लास वॉल बिल्डिंग देखिए वेस्टर्न यूरोप, मैं लंदन में रहता हूँ, वेस्टर्न यूरोप यूके में इसके मायने है। वहाँ पे सूरज तो उगता ही नहीं है, आता है तो इधर थोड़े से घंटों के लिए आता है, चला जाता है, ठंडी रहती है। आप ग्लास वॉल बिल्डिंग बनाएंगे तो सूरज की किरणें आएंगी, थोड़ी गर्मी होगी, क्योंकि यूरोप में जो मेन खर्चा होता है ये कूलिंग के लिए नहीं होता है, हीटिंग के लिए होता है। अभी भारत में सूरज की कमी है कि सूरज की अति है? तो हम ग्लास वॉल बिल्डिंग काहे बना रहे हैं भाई? हम एक विशाल जाइंट माइक्रोवेव ओवन बना रहे हैं हम लोग, और इतनी हीटिंग हो जाती है तो एसी ब्लास्ट किया जा रहा है अंदर से, लोग बीमार पड़ते रहते हैं, हीट ये अपना एनर्जी बिल ऊपर जाता रहता है। क्यों कर रहे हैं ये आर्किटेक्ट्स? क्योंकि बचपन से उन्हें पढ़ा लिखा के अंग्रेज बना दिया गया। तो दिमागी तौर पर वो भारत में जी नहीं रहे, दिमागी तौर पर तो यूरोप में जी रहे हैं। अभी यूरोप में ग्लास वॉल बिल्डिंग है, चलो दिल्ली में भी बनाते हैं। क्या लॉजिक है दिल्ली में ग्लास वॉल बिल्डिंग बनाने का? अब देखिए कई ऐसी चीजें हैं जो हमारी शिक्षा प्रणाली ये प्रॉब्लम खड़ी कर रही है। मेरा मानना है इसे युवा पीढ़ी को दोष इसका नहीं दिया जाता, दोष हम सब का। मैंने इस पर बहुत आर्टिकल्स लिखे हैं कि भगवान के लिए हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम को डीकॉलोनाइज किया जाए।
पेरेंट्स को भी अपने आप को भी जिम्मेदार ठहराएं।
हाँ,
क्योंकि बच्चे को माँ बोलती है, वो बोलते है बनाना, उसको केला नहीं बोलेगी।
करेक्ट, तो हमें सिखाना चाहिए, सिखाना हमें। तो जिम्मेदारी हमारी है और हम करेंगे तो होगा। ये युवा पीढ़ी में डिमांड है, मैं आपको कह रहा हूँ, रुचि है, वो सीखना चाहते हैं। ये इस बच्चे को देखिए, रुचि है, सप्लाई होना चाहिए, सप्लाई होगा वो लोग सीखेंगे, सीखना है उन्हें।
तो हमारे घर में मैं बेटी को बोलता हूँ अपनी बच्ची को बोलो, मेरी कम हेयर वो दे, मैंने उसको
धीरे धीरे बदलाव आएगा, लेकिन हम सबको शिक्षा प्रणाली में बदलाव लाना है पहले।
हमारी नई नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 2020 में कुछ हद
मैं मानता हूँ, कुछ काफी हद तक
मैंने इसको स्टडी किया है।
नहीं, मैंने भी पढ़ा है उसे, उसके ऊपर मैंने नेहरू केंद्र में एक प्रोग्राम भी किया था। न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी बहुत अच्छी है, अभी उसे ठीक तरह से लागू किया जाए, इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाए तो कई हद तक डीकॉलोनाइजेशन होगा और ये अच्छी बात होगी। देखिए मैं पश्चिमी विरोधी नहीं हूँ, देखिए जो पाश्चात्य जो संस्कृति है पिछले 300-400 साल में बहुत सक्सेसफुल रही है, अच्छी बातें हैं, सीखनी चाहिए, लेकिन पहले अपनी बातें तो सीखें। वो है ना बड़ा सुंदर लाइन, आनो बदराहा तो विश्वतः, कि हाँ कि दुनिया भर से, विश्व भर से जो भी अच्छी चीजें हैं, आओ भाई हम सीखेंगे, लेकिन सबसे पहले हमें अपना सीखना। तो वो शिक्षा प्रणाली वैसी करनी चाहिए, जिसका दोष मेरा मानना है युवा पीढ़ी पर नहीं थोपा जा सकता है। उनकी गलती थोड़ी, गलती हमारी, हमने प्रणाली बदली नहीं।
हेलो,
अब राव जी कितना ये एक तो और प्रश्न बोलिए।
अमीश जी नमस्कार। आप फोटो में अच्छे लग रहे हैं और रियल में भी अच्छे लग रहे हैं। मेरा नाम कृष्ण कुमार वर्मा, ऑलराउंडर ऑफ वर्ल्ड। अभी आपने एक बात बताई थी जिसमें कहा था कि नदी, तराई के क्षेत्र में जितनी भी नदियां हैं सब हिमालय में लुप्त होती हैं और अंदर अंदर उभरती आकार हैं, जिसमें काली नदी है, गोमती नदी है, घाघरा है, बरुआ है, बहुत सारी हैं। तो मैं भी पहले नहीं मानता था। एक और आपका बीच में मुझे पूछना तो नहीं, लक्ष्मण रेखा की जो बात की है, तो रेखाएं जरूरी नहीं कि दिखाई देती हूँ, देशों के बीच में रेखाएं दिखाई नहीं देती है। हो सकता है उन्होंने ये कहा हो कि आपको इस बाउंड्री से बाहर नहीं जाना है, क्योंकि आपकी बाउंड्री को आपके परमिशन के बिना कोई क्रॉस नहीं कर सकता, और आप बाउंड्री क्रॉस करेंगे। सीरियल में दिखाना थोड़ा सा। अब एक मूल बात पे आता हूँ, एक क्वेश्चन। हर घर में रामचरितमानस या रामायण किसी न किसी रूप में है, मेरे यहाँ भी है, और रामलीला भी हर छोटे बड़े कस्बे में होती है। वहां से दो प्रश्न। रामलीला से रावण के किरदार, जिसने एक स्त्री यानी सीता माता का अपहरण किया, उससे हमारी आज की दुनिया कितना सीखती है? अपहरण बढ़े हैं, घटे नहीं।
सही बात है।
दूसरा कि राम जो अपनी पिता की आज्ञा से, उन्होंने आज्ञा भी नहीं दी थी, उन्होंने तो कहा ही नहीं था, वो तो कह के ही नहीं कहा था कि 2 वरदान थे, मैंने मांग लिया था कि,
लेकिन पिताजी का मान रखने के लिए
वो चले गए। तो आज के हमारे जो बच्चे हैं वो कितना रामायण को देख करके, सीरियल को देख करके, रामलीला को देख करके, रामचरितमानस या वाल्मीकि रामायण पढ़ करके कितना मानते हैं। तो 2 ही सवाल रखे, ज्यादा फिर कभी मुलाकात होगी।
अच्छी बात,
नमस्कार।
अच्छे प्रश्न है आपके। देखिए जहाँ तक रावण से सीखने की जो बात है, रावण से आज के ज़माने में हम काफ़ी कुछ सीख सकते हैं, क्योंकि देखिए रावण में हुनर तो था, उसे नकारा नहीं जा सकता। पंडित था, वेदों का पंडित था, योद्धा बहुत अच्छा था, हुनर तो था उसमें, शिव जी का भक्त था, तांडव स्तोत्र की रचना की थी। आज भी जो शिव भक्त हैं, मैं भी, हम लोग तांडव स्तोत्र हम लोग आज भी हम लोग चांट करते हैं, जिसकी रचना रावण ने की थी। तो उसमें हाँ गुण तो थे, लेकिन कुछ अवगुण भी थे, कुछ खामियां भी थी। अपने महत्वाकांक्षा, अपने ईगो पर कुछ कंट्रोल नहीं था उसमें, गुस्से पे कुछ कंट्रोल नहीं था, उसके जो डिजायर्स थे उस पर कुछ कंट्रोल नहीं था। तो शायद आज हम लोग ये सीख सकते हैं रावण से कि भाई जितना भी हुनर तुम्हारे पास हो, अगर अपने ईगो, अपने गुस्से, अपने डिजायर्स पर तुम्हें नियंत्रण नहीं है तो फिर अंत अच्छा नहीं होगा। दूसरी बात, जहाँ तक रामायण से सीखने का है, आपको याद होगा ये कोविड आपदा के ज़माने में जब लॉकडाउन चल रहा था, तो ये जो रामानंद सागर जी का जो टीवी सीरीज था उसे फिर से दर्शाया गया था, फिर से प्रसारित किया था। मैं उस वक्त लंदन में था, तो उसके ऊपर मैंने कुछ आर्टिकल पढ़े, कुछ आंकड़े आए थे कि ये एक्चुअली एक हिसाब से करीब देखिए 35 साल पुराना एक सीरियल था। उस ज़माने में भी स्पेशल इफेक्ट्स इतने अच्छे नहीं थे, तो आज के मापदंड से तो बड़े क्या होंगे। फिर भी करीब 8-9 करोड़ भारतवासियों ने उस सीरीज को देखा। व्यूअरशिप 8-9 करोड़ थी। गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स जो इतिहास का सबसे एक्सपेंसिव टीवी सीरीज है, उसको इतने व्यूअर्स नहीं मिले जितने रामानंद सागर जी की रामायण को मिले। और फिर से मैं कहूँगा, ज़्यादातर दर्शक तो युवा पीढ़ी थे, तो मतलब रुचि है। हाँ, हम चाहते हैं, मैं चाहता हूँ, मेरा बेटा है, मैं भी चाहता हूँ कि वो राम की तरह हो, लेकिन अगर मैं चाहता हूँ कि वो राम की तरह हो तो सबसे पहले मुझे दशरथ की तरह बनना पड़ेगा। क्योंकि देखिए, मेरा मानना है कि हम सब चाहते हैं हम प्रभु श्री राम के पथ पर चलें, हम सब चाहते हैं कि हम प्रभु श्री कृष्ण से सीखें, हम सब चाहते हैं कि हम प्रभु ये शिव जी से सीखें। लेकिन अगर हम अपने बच्चों को सिर्फ ये भाषण देंगे और उदाहरण से नहीं दिखाएंगे तो फिर वो क्यों मानेंगे। आपने देखा होगा कि कई बच्चे हैं जो बहुत किताबें पढ़ते हैं, और आपने ये भी देखा होगा कई बार ये होता है कि उनके माँ बाप भी बहुत पढ़ते हैं। माँ बाप अपने बच्चे को जितना भी बोल ले, बेटा किताब पढ़ो, अच्छी बात है, अगर खुद माँ बाप नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं वो नहीं पढ़ेंगे। अगर खुद माँ बाप पढ़ते हैं बच्चे पढ़ेंगे। अगर माँ बाप अपने लड़के को कहें कि औरतों की इज्जत करो, लेकिन घर में लड़का खुद देख रहा है कि उसके पिताजी उसके माँ जी की इज्जत नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो लड़का करेगा क्या? नहीं करेगा। उसे जो भी कहा जाए वो तो देख रहा है, उदाहरण देख रहा है। तो मेरा मानना है कि देखिए, हमें समाज, जो जैसे महात्मा गांधी ने कहा था, समाज में जो बदलाव चाहिए, परिवार में जो बदलाव चाहिए, पहले अपने आप को उस रास्ते पर चलाना पड़ेगा। और लोग खुद ब खुद जुड़ते हैं, और बच्चे देखते हैं अपने माँ बाप को, 24 घंटे देखते रहते हैं और सीखते रहते हैं। सुनते इतने नहीं हैं लेकिन देखते बहुत हैं। ये आखिरी सवाल है। चलिए, if the mic can just be given to her, please.
Good evening, sir. I'm Hindita.
Hi.
So my question might be a little stupid, but
No, there's no stupid question. Go ahead.
thank you. But modernizing the history at some point, won't it lose the originality? Because personally, I have read Percy Jackson and those Greek versions of stories. And at some point, Medusa, who was actually a priestess, was portrayed as a villain in their stories.
Sometime who?
Medusa is
In the
Yes.
renditions, yes.
So she's actually a priestess of Athena, but
You are
at
right,
some
you are right. In
point
ancient
she was
times.
portrayed as a villain.
Correct.
So right now in the current scenario, almost everyone thinks Medusa is a villain, and nobody knows the original story. So modernizing those histories, won't it at some point give wrong information to the youth?
Very good question. I'm not surprised that the youth is asking this. Look, it's like this. Whenever anyone makes any change in any story, in any narrative, as frankly Goswami Tulsidas ji did in the Ramcharitmanas, because he made quite a few changes from the Valmiki Ramayana. I'm sure you're aware the Uttar Kand which is there in the Valmiki Ramayana is not there in the Ramcharitmanas. That's quite a major change, right? One of the things I look at is what are the intentions in making that change. Are the intentions to divide or are the intentions to unite? Are the intentions noble or are the intentions ignoble? And if your intentions are right, then perhaps that change is a good thing. Because as Lord Krishna told us, change is the only constant. It keeps happening. But if we have been given the privilege of causing some change, if we can ensure that that change is a positive one, then we are causing some good in society. As Sir said, that if we write of religious coexistence, that's a change in a story which is positive for society. If we write a change story which causes divisions, as I see happening very often in the West actually. The West, I find many of the intellectuals are very divisive, which is bad for them. Which is bad for their societies. It's not bad for our society. It's bad for their societies. So I think as long as the intentions are clear, you can actually have some good impact. What really matters is intentions. Okay. Silly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Amish, for your very fabulous talk, and also particularly the very vibrant question answer session. Thank you so much, and thanks for coming to the Sahitya Academy. And also thankful to all of you for staying back after this. You want to have some signature kind of thing after that. Yeah. Thank you so much. So we have that recently released book we have kept outside. If anyone wants, they can buy and take the signature of the author himself is available here.
Thank you.